Stage 30 is fitting the two rear light assemblies onto the back of the chassis. I'm going to apologise because I can't show you me fitting those, I can only show you them fitted. The reason behind that is that I had quite a lot of angst with the mounting points fouling the wires coming out the back of the lighting unit here. I'm going to turn up so you can see. Hopefully you can just see that one. The wires are very tight in the back of this unit here, and then they have to turn here at 90 degrees to miss the nut and bolt just there. I spent quite a lot of time fitting, refitting until I got exactly what I wanted. So sorry I couldn't show you that, but it took a long time, and you probably would have lost interest. In terms of the wires now, I've just clipped them here and here so that they don't get in the way of the rear axle bump stops or axle movement. Just a clip in the middle there, and at the moment it's just loose running down to the front, because there's a lot of other bits and pieces that need to be fitted here. Side marker lights, there's the actuator unit, and I will want to run those wires at a later stage where they don't foul anything, so they're just loose. I have plugged them in and tested them, they are all still working. So that would be stage 30. Moving on to 31, which is just finishing off the back section of the truck. There is a rod or member, if you want to call it that goes across, which is this piece here, and then we just use a few nuts and bolts to just put it together. So I'm just going to grab the nuts and bolts that I need, and join me back in a second. You join me back on stage 31, which is attaching the rear member, which is this rod here, and a couple of other screws. What they do in effect is also hold these brackets on the back here, making them very solid. I've got the parts here that I need, there aren't many. I'm going to start with the ones at the back first, because they're more difficult to get at than the front ones. Interestingly, these are hex-headed bolts, sorry. Just need to push that forward, which go in there like that, and one on the other side. Like so. We need to put a little bit of thread lock on them. Assume they've used hex-headed bolts because you can't get a screwdriver in there. I have to say these rear light assemblies are very nice, and now they're fitted they look great, but they've been challenging, shall we say, to do. Unusually so. Normally they're quite straightforward and dead easy. Hopefully you can see this on camera. There's one in place there. What I want to do is make sure that the front hole is in alignment before I pull that up. And that one just about, you can just get a screwdriver on that one. Here we go, so you have to push that forward to get that to go. So I'm going to actually use two of Tamiya's spanners on this one. I've got to get one on the front one, which is there, and then the one on the back one, and at the same time push this backwards. What I'm going to try and do is hold this back while I do this up. Get There's another one where I could do it with 3 hands. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I may be able to do that up in position without the other side. Yes! And that should, yeah, there we go. That went okay. And the other side. Trying to work at cross purposes. The only thing about videoing is you have to work sometimes at an angle that you wouldn't normally work at, because you try and show people what you're doing. As being right-handed, I would have spun this round to do it and you wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing. That's my excuse for being caggy-handed at times anyway. We'll put that screw in the other side just to make sure that hole's in alignment. Same issue this side, it just needs to come forward just that fraction for tightness. So let's just try and do this up as best we can. Sorry, it might make it a bit difficult for you to see this, because the only problem, I needed to hold that bracket tightly back this way. There we go. And then that should be nice and loose. Great, let's pull those back into line. There's 2 of those and this bar, which needs to have thread lock on it. So let's put a bit inside here and a bit inside here. There we go. Only got these 2 screws. I'm going to turn it round a bit to do this, because I can't do it at that angle. Hopefully you can still see it. Just having a check to see if you can still see that on camera, which you can. Just down here. This is quite a tight fit as well. There we go, we're in. Just need to line that up to make life easy. A very technical job here with a cocktail stick. That one in there. And I think we can just about get out that screw over the top of the lights. We can. I'm not going to do it up tight just yet until I've got the one in the other side, just in case it throws the alignment out at all. Let's give this one a try, see if it'll go in. Just get it in a line. Good, that one's going in now. Do that one up tight. Just try and move it so you can see what I'm doing. Try not to drop it on the floor, so you all have a good laugh. There we go, tight. That's stage 31 done, which is now, I have to say, in fairness to me, these lights are incredibly strong. I suppose being a tipper and a potential off-road vehicle, that they do make them stronger, and I like the covers that they put over the lights as well. It all adds to the realism. Excellent. That's 31 done. Moving on now to stage 32, which requires these 3 parts, which is the underrun bar, or rear bumper as they call it, and I need a couple of 3/8 again. Be careful when you're picking up these screws, because the standard screw length is a 3/6, and the 3/8s are very, very similar. There you go. 3x6 and a 3x8. I want another 3x8. There we go, a couple of 3x8s, and we need 2 flange nuts as well. No, we don't. The thin lock nuts. Read the instructions, Colin. There. That's not a thin lock nut. There it is. Again, I think I've shown it before. There are 2 thicknesses of these lock nuts, a thick one and a thin one. This does say lock nuts thin. That's all we want, is those 4. What they're telling you to do here in 32, on the camera, it is just about, I'm just going to move this over a touch, there we go, is these little brackets here are handed left and right. You have to look at the diagram to make sure that you get the right one. That's a Z6 and that's the Z7. And what they're telling you to do is to put that in there and to, strangely, they're telling you to glue it in place. Although it's held in place by that anyway. I might be inclined just to try and see if I can put it together without gluing it first. That looks like that's the way it goes in. That's quite firmly held it anyway. Interesting. Well, let's try it without, and see what happens. That's going into the nylock part of the nut. Oh, that went together beautifully. Didn't need the glue. Make sure we put your nut in the right way up. And that one goes into there. Well, what do you look at that? There we go. That's a nice easy section, that one, wasn't it? 32. Let's run on to 33 while we're on a roll, which is to fit this onto here. And where does it go? It goes into these 2 holes here. We need a couple of parts for this. Once I finish this one, the next section's I've got a bit of painting to do. Right, MA10s. There's an MA10. 12 millimeters long, so that's 2 of those, and 2 ME6s, which are 2x6 tap-in screws, which should be these little devils. Not that one, pick the wrong one up, that's the one I want. You're making it hard for me, come here. Ah, that would explain why it's not magnetic. Yep, those are the ones. So there's the 2 of those and the 2 of those. That's all we need to hold this on. Now, I want to make sure I obviously get this right. So let's just have a look at the diagram, and it goes on like so. should be a little hole above it, which there is. Not using the one below, so it will go on like that. Okay, let's get fixing. What am I doing? Twit. Put a big one in first, just to hold it in place, shall we? That's going to go into there. That's it. That's roughly in place where it needs to go. Let's put them in each side first, shall we? Keeps it in alignment then, doesn't it? There we go. I'm going to put the little screws in while I'm here. The little screw controls the height of it. There we go. Just going to do that one up first. There we go. And the bigger screw. Put the little one in on this side. Now I am working backwards for the camera. Sorry about this. I'm going to have to try and put that in by hand. There we go. Got it. There we go. That's the back end done. Stage 33 complete.